This behind one of the Manchester wood Mount Equinox on that side, and into.
This is my sister, Grace Hoyt. I was born in
by gunsmith John Dowd in Goshen, Connecticut. So he died in March. He was going to be buried, and luckily. She became quite well known for her passionate devotion to socialism, pacifism, experimental education, and the abolition of capital punishment. She actively supported the following causes: full suffrage for women, equal rights for African Americans, prison reform, packing house reform, and the abolishment of child labor. She was the rarest of utopians, one who seriously lived by the principles she believed in and cherished her entire life. This is Sean Harrington, the curator of the Manchester Historical Society. Welcome to another edition of Timestamp. And those words that you just heard were written in this book, Castle in the Pasture. Sarah N. Cleghorn, 1895 graduate of the seminary. She was a writer, she was a journalist, she was a really wonderful woman. Came here as a young girl, lived with her aunts, lived here until probably the 1940s and 1950s when she went to Philadelphia. But she observed all the goings on in Manchester during a critical time from the 1890s up until she left. And I have a really great surprise that I want to show you in a little bit. But first, I want to show you some of her writings. This is a great collection. This was donated to us by Deary Taylor, who used to own the Johnny Appleseed bookstore in the village. And this is a great example of how, back in the early days, people, when they wanted to get their message out, they had to self-publish. And, these weren't the large volumes, and today everybody has social media, they can self-publish, but back then everything was typed out. And, this is her writing. She signed every individual piece. There's a wonderful little bit here. So here's a little ballad that she did. And on the inside, not copyrighted. Everyone free to spread this ballad who likes. I mean, who does that today? Everything's copyrighted. But, another point that I want to make out, she was very good friends with Dorothy Canfield Fisher. And she and Dorothy had a lifelong communication back and forth with each other, and they actually collaborated on this book. She also had a great sense of humor. I'm not going to read this to you today, but here's one of her manuscripts she wrote called Comrade Jesus. But what I really want to get to is the heart and the treasure of the Manchester Historical Society, which is the Cleghorn journals. Here's the most important contribution Sarah made to the Manchester Historical Society. Not only was she there at the beginning in 1897, but she also acted as journalist for the Historical Society for almost 30 years from the beginning. And the fact that we have almost all of her journals in our collection has proved to be absolutely invaluable. Not only do we have what happened, but we have her personal observations. We have what her thoughts were on articles that appeared in the newspaper. And then also you could see as her opinions developed about the world around her, those are also reflected within the pages of these journals. And that is absolutely priceless. So here's a great example. Not only did she talk about golf skirts and the fashions, but she actually drew these herself, just as an example. And, for the Historical Society, these pieces are great. I had mentioned her personal commentary on newspaper articles. So, there would be an article and then she would give her interpretation or give the backstory on it, which is just absolutely priceless. The other thing, when dignitaries would come, in 1912, we had a great event here in Manchester. The ex-president, Theodore Roosevelt, and the sitting president, the only one ever to visit Manchester, Howard Taft, came here. And of course, it was during election season. And here's her writings about when Theodore Roosevelt came, which got a very cool reception in the Manchester Journal at the time. And then if we flip here, so he was here in the great day when Colonel Roosevelt came to Manchester, August 29th, 1912. And then October 9th and 10th, Taft visits Manchester. And she makes her observations here, which she writes, "The journalist was too late in reaching the music hall, or we haven't all learned yet to call it the casino." They had changed the name, and just like it is today, nobody likes change. Anyway, to hear the president's address, or rather, brief friendly gathering to our village. But those who were present said the president received a most enthusiastic reception from the crowd who had packed every inch of the hall, though the notice had been very late that we should take the opportunity to see and hear Mr. Taft. The cheering was long and hearty, the president's talk short and non-political. The journalist, however, in time to shake hands with him, and she had not been too bashful to say what was in her heart. Thank you for what you have done for peace, Mr. President. He looked very well and cheerful. I mean, the fact that we have this is, I can't say enough about how thrilled I am. And we go through this, and not only did she keep these, but she actually indexed at the end. So whenever we have a particular topic that took place between 1899 and the 1920s, I can go to Sarah Cleghorn's journals and see, well, what did Sarah think of this situation? And I don't think many historical societies have something like this written by such a prolific writer. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Timestamp. We'll see you again real soon. And I'm going to leave you with this Clara Ciprell photograph of Sarah Cleghorn taken at the Pink House in the village where the Manchester Historical Society began. The house is no longer pink. Everything does change with time. But I did want to leave you with some last words written by Sarah. Here's the poem. The golf links lie so near the mill that almost every day the laboring children can look out and see the men at play.